Howdy folks, once again I'm joined by Gazza. Gazza, how you doing?
Oh, not too bad, son. A bit of a delay in the treatment's a bit frustrating, but we'll get there in the finish.
You came here to my place today and you had a bit of a bee in your bonnet.
Yeah, well, a bit of a bee in my bonnet about Stephen Donnell on the URC level, and, we all know it's not true. But after watching your podcast...
Yeah, you came in with a bit of a bee in your bonnet and I said Stephen Donald has he's got his own podcast with Kirsty Stanaway from the Breakdown Show.
Yeah.
And he kind of addressed it in a roundabout way.
Yeah. I think that, I still think that he might have been out of line a bit, but after watching the podcast and being the fair man that I am,
right,
I think that it might have been taken out of context and interpretation quite a bit. I think there might have been a bit of misconception there.
Well, his argument was that it was a bit of a slow news week and that people ran with that storyline about the low-level thing a bit more.
Yeah, probably more than what they should have. But, even on a low-level week, we don't want that on. We don't want, comparison between competitions. Because they're all different, aren't they, right?
Yep.
Chalk and cheese, apples and oranges. I mean, and he's a pretty fair commentator on Sky. I don't have many problems with it, but
yeah, I quite like him as a commentator. Actually,
if you say he's taken it out of context on a slow news week, was something I would have do? No, but it's something that he's done, and he's got a lot of borix for it.
Yeah.
Probably too much.
Yeah, but I mean,
being fair and square.
The low-level comment when you got teams full of Irish internationals, South African internationals, Welsh internationals. Even if the Welsh aren't doing that well, they've still got some good players in there.
Yeah, you got to
one of the teams is basically the Italian national team. The Scottish, their teams are the Scottish teams are champions, so you got to give them some respect, right? I think that's
respect.
I think that's
definitely absolutely right about that scenario.
I think that's what was grinding a lot of people's gears. That it kind of looked like he was looking down on the competition.
Yeah.
Even if that's not... I think what he was meaning to do...
I don't think he meant to do it
I think
that way.
he meant to be saying how good the Champions Cup is. Their European competition, but it's not how it came across and not how he probably could have worded himself a bit better, right?
Yeah, he came in for a bit of criticism, probably too much criticism, but after watching his podcast, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yes. I guess that's going to happen. If you're on a talk show or something, every now and again you'll say something and... it probably won't sound
Takes out of context.
Either take it out of context or it just doesn't sound that good once you play it back, right?
And you sometimes regret what you say.
Probably. I think he probably regrets his wording a little bit. Well, that's him. He did the commentary on the Blues against Force game last night, and I thought he did a pretty good job.
He did.
So that's at least one thing. What do you think about Jordi Barrett? He was on your list of guys to talk
Jordi
about.
Barrett. There's been a lot of talk about Jordi Barrett, and I think there's been too much talk, to be honest.
Okay.
I think that if the truth be known, he's been benched a few times. He's benched this weekend.
They've managed his minutes a lot
Yeah,
over
they
at
have.
Leinster. I think that was part of the deal, though. They didn't there was some worries that if he goes to Europe instead of Japan,
Yeah, correct.
that they would kind of flog him and just play him week in,
haven't
week
done
out.
that.
No, they haven't. They've managed him really well.
Now, people are saying, well, should he be in the All Black 23 for the first French test? Well, there's pros and cons about that. I mean, you could play him off the bench, which I'm not totally against, or you could start him and sub him early. I'm not against that. But, he's a vice captain,
Yep.
so we have to respect that. And he's a great player, and
Yep.
we have to respect that. If it was me personally, I'd probably 51-49 put him on the bench, but if I had to start him with an injury and training on the field with, one Anton Leonard-Brown or Quinton Tabea or whoever they've got going down, I'd certainly start him.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean,
He's a great player.
the only reason we've kind of got this conversation going is because anytime guys head abroad, there's the whole debate about whether the guys who are still based at home should kind of get the first cab off the rank treatment.
I think technically they should.
Right, rewarding the guys who stay at home. But then he's only gone for a sabbatical. It's not like he went for the end of his contract and then has kind of come back at the end of it. So
Yeah, I'll talk about sabbaticals later, but he's gonna play the majority of tests this year, isn't he?
He's a good
doesn't
player.
get injured, and
He's
he's
gonna
a
be
good
in the All
goal kicker.
Blacks.
He can play 3 or 4 positions in
Yeah.
the back line, and you gotta have him in there, don't you?
I think so.
No, without any argument.
And he's been in good form up in Europe, so
Yeah.
I think it's a no-brainer.
and
He's
he-
going to be in the 23.
Yeah, and they have managed this minute, so I think he'll be fine.
I think he'll be fine. Now, Rico.
Rico's a very controversial figure for the last 2 years, and I think, he's going to, mark my words, he's going to be at Scott Robinson's squad.
Right.
That's going to be the first thing. The second thing is, he's going to play a fair number of tests this year, even if he doesn't start in the first game against the French. I can tell you that for a fact. And the third thing is, I think a lot of people, myself included, always thought he was a winger. We know what a great winger he is. And I think he's a pretty consistent, solid centre without being a great centre like Conrad Smith.
Right.
Now, there's a lot of people out there with controversial contacts and communication about Rico Ioane. And I've seen him in the last 2 games for the Blues, and that guy does an enormous amount of work off the ball, right?
Yep.
That's one thing he does. 2, he's a good defender, right?
Yep.
And 3, he's got gas.
Still got gas. Yeah, he's 28.
He's still got gas at 28.
He's not slowing down yet.
And if anybody thinks he's over the hill, even the fact that he's going to Leinster, well, I'm afraid you're on the wrong boat down the creek, because providing he doesn't get injured, that's the big thing. Like here in New Zealand now, or whenever he goes to Leinster, if he goes, depending on injury, I think him following Jordi Barrett to Leinster is a great thing.
Yeah.
And he's certainly going to be in the All Black squad. Whether he's starting or not, well, that's up for debate.
Yeah.
But he's a guy that can play centre. He's a guy that can play wing. And and he's got 80-odd tests behind him, so you ain't going to drop a guy like him. And Anton Lennon-Brown's done his shoulder. I think he might be back for the later part of the season. I certainly hope so, because he's another great player.
I hope Leinster, they've got a good track record with Kiwis going over there. Like Jordie's looked really good since he's gone over there. And some of the Kiwi guys who've gone there longer term, like Gibson Park and James Lowe, they've taken their games to a higher level since getting there. So
right,
I would like to see them work a bit of that magic with Rico.
Yeah, I think, they're talking about maybe playing him on the wing.
They might do.
So we'll have to see what happens. That's in the future. But if he's fit and he goes to Leinster and he's not injured, I think he'll be a good asset.
I think so as well.
Providing, outside the Johnny Sexton saga, I think that'll blow over pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind betting that Sexton and him become quite good mates while he's over there.
Wouldn't surprise me, because they're both competitors. That's why they
and they're both mature footballers.
Yeah, that's right. What do you reckon about the All Blacks? How are we looking overall? Because there's a few people who are saying that we're struggling against the Aussie teams this year in Super Rugby because our level has dipped.
I'm not really too concerned. The Aussie teams are stronger because the Rebels franchise is gone. That's 1. 2, we've got a lot of talent coming through. We've got lots of talent. Everybody talks about the first 5 being a bit shallow, but Ruben Love's there now, and Josh Jacobs. So we've got a bit of talent there. I think we've got enough to fill the holes. We definitely got enough talent to fill the holes at lock.
Yep.
The Lucies, well, we got Artie Sevilla there. He's another vice captain. He's playing the house down at Mono Pacifico. I think he's playing on a bit of magic workload minutes. He's a great captain of them, and he's taken them to a lot of good games, close games. And do I think he'll be overworked? Well, I think Tana Umagan's rested him a few times, and he's been slightly injured. So we'll just have to see whether the ball goes in that court. But he'll be there, and he'll be vice captain under Scott Barrett, no doubt about it, with Jordi Barrett.
So you're not concerned that we've dropped to a terrible level and we're going to struggle?
No, I don't think so. I think that, we might struggle in our first couple of games against the French, because we know it's going to be...
it'll be interesting to see what kind of squad they bring.
I think they'll bring a good squad. I think they'll bring a good squad. And I think they will... they might do all right down here. They might win a game.
Yeah.
Can't count them out. Will they win a series? Well, I wouldn't think so. But, stranger things have happened.
That's right.
And we've got plenty of... we've got a few boulders coming through, so it'll be interesting to see where that goes.
You looking forward to the Lions squad being named?
Oh, I love the Lions. May the 8th, the Lions in Australia.
Yep.
That's going to be a fantastic series.
So what do you think about Les Kiss taking over the Wallabies after Joe Schmidt? Joe Schmidt's extended on a little bit.
Yeah, I see that. Am I happy with it? Well, basically I am. I think they just drew it a bit like the Welsh coaching saga. They drew it out a bit long.
Yeah.
But then their negotiations, I think, were mainly with Schmidt extending their contract for 6 months.
Yeah, that's right. And
6 months, and has he got time to bed in? Well, he's going to be on the fringes there for a while. So he's going to have, even though he's not going to be part of their coaching setup, he's going to be part of conversations with that group of Wallaby coaches and assistant coaches about who he's going to pick. Now, is he going to favour the Reds? Well, the Reds are going to have a few in there, but I think there'll be a balance between what he does and what he doesn't do.
Yeah.
Do I like him as a coach? Yes, I do.
I think he'll go all right. The Reds have been going pretty good. And
They got beaten today.
They did get beaten today, not by much. And over in Fiji is a tough place to go. The Chiefs lost in Fiji as well, so Fiji's a pretty tough one.
The Super Rugby this year, it's been pretty good actually.
I think so as well.
It's been pretty good. We've got a lot of young guys coming through, and a lot of teams have had a lot of injuries, which was always to be expected. I don't know who the final 6 are going to be. Are the Blues going to be there? Well, they're going to have to win in Fiji next week. We know the Crusaders are going to be there.
Chiefs are going to be there.
The Reds and the Brumbies will. I think they will be there too.
It's mostly just 5th and 6th that we're looking at.
I think the Hurricanes might sneak in.
Maybe us and the Hurricanes?
Us and the Hurricanes, maybe.
Maybe the Force, maybe Moana Pacifica?
Well, the Force played quite well against us last night, so I'm not too disappointed. They've come a long way in a real short time.
Well, they're back home next week, so that might help them.
Yeah, Simon Croney's a good coach.
Got Leon over there now.
Yeah, I think that they could sneak in.
They could.
Mana Pacifica, if they have the golden run, could even make a play for it.
That's right.
But the Blues last night, they played really well in patches.
Yep.
They almost gave away a bonus point on full time.
That's it.
But
hang on, just.
Stephen Donnell has said they're the sleeping giant if they make the finals.
Okay.
If I'm looking at them at the moment, I would say no. But then they've got that many fringe All Blacks and experienced players in there. Could they make a late run for the title? Yes, they could. Are they going to win it? I don't think so. But then, I'm not a rugby analyst guy to make a prediction on that.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the same Stephen Donald who said the URC was at a low level, wasn't it?
Yeah. So. I think he might have been taken out of context in that a bit.
Yeah, maybe.
But anyway, if it's a slow week and they bring a story like that, well, we just got to live with it.
It wouldn't be the first time there's been a bit of drama over a pundit and what they've said.
And it won't be the last.
It won't be the last. All right, Gazza, well, wish you all the luck with your treatment going forward. Hopefully they get onto that, and we'll wish the Blues some luck. Hopefully they can get into the six. Maybe knock the Crusaders out in the first round of the playoffs.
I want to ask you one question.
Okay.
If the Blues miss out, who do you want to see in the final 6?
I would love to see the Force make it. Because they've never, ever made the Force. No. Like, we can all complain about having a dry run, like the Crusaders fans under Blackadder didn't win any titles, and we were terrible for years. But we've all been there and done it at some point. The Force have never had their moment in the sun.
If they have their moment in the sun, I won't be too disappointed.
Exactly.
I like them, actually.
Me as well.
I like Simon Cron, their coach. I think he's brought a lot of guys in, and I think if the Force keep him on as a coach, I think he'll get definitely better.
Fingers crossed. Cheers, Gazza.
Okay, mate.
Take care, everybody.
See you later, team.